Our final speaker for this session is Tad Yankoski from Sophia M. Sachs Butterfly House. He'll be speaking on containment emergency protocols. Tad got his start in entomology when he joined a 4-H club when he was 12 years old and has never looked back. He eventually graduated from Cornell University with a degree in entomology and has been working in butterfly houses for over 15 years. He is currently the senior entomologist at the Sophia M. Sachs Butterfly House in St. Louis, Missouri, and he's excited to be let out of the AV corner long enough to talk with you all about a containment near miss that he recently experienced at his facility. Welcome, Tad.
Thanks, everybody. So yeah, I'm happy to be here to talk about something that was almost really, really bad, but not quite. So we are at the Sophia Sachs Butterfly House in St. Louis. That's our facility there. Pay attention to those square-looking glass windows because they are going to be a pivotal part of today's story. So when you think, how can a butterfly escape from your facility? Maybe strollers, wheelchairs, got to check those. Your emergency exit. If you're in Cincinnati, you got to be on the lookout for, you can't quite read it, but it says the rare African blue morpho was stolen from the Crone Conservatory. But it turns out what we really had to worry about was a guy in a lawnmower drinking a Red Bull, because we had our landscape crew that we contract to mow the lawn around the butterfly house decided to mow it in record time. And they took a 0-point mower and they broke a window, not with a rock, but with the mower itself. So this is what our normal non-broken windows look like. Notice the lack of cracks. We do have flashing that sticks out about an inch or so in between the windows there. And that is actually where he hit the window. So post-impact, he hit that flashing. You can see the impact point right there, where he bent it and pulled it straight out, and there were about 4-inch long screws that was hiding, that was between the windows, and those screws went right through our double pane glass. We had a pretty significant breakage in the corner right where it was hit, and the cracks spread out all the way across. Unfortunately, he did not tell us when this happened. He called his boss called my boss, who left a message, and that was it, and we found out about 4 hours later. Thankfully, this was a double pane glass, and the inner pane stayed whole, though it was cracked. So you can see highlighted there were a few glass shards that did make its way inside the facility, so the glass did break, but it did hold. There were no obvious holes to the outside that we could see. But this gave us an opportunity to use our emergency kit that we had on hand. We keep a go bag ready in our director's office. We keep it stocked with a few different things we'll go over. The outside of it has emergency numbers and very basic instructions of what to do. And the contents are plastic 5 mil thick sheets that are cut to size for our windows. We have a few different sizes spread around the outside of our perimeter. We keep a big roll of 3-inch wide Gorilla Tape, which is fantastic. They should sponsor the conference because it's really good. The windows, as you all know, can get kind of gross, wet and algae and stuff. You want that tape to adhere, so we keep a roll of paper towels in there, keep it nice and dry. And then scissors, just in case we need to cut the tape or plastic to fit. And you'll see that here. That's the contents of our emergency grab-and-go kit. Now, I don't have a whole lot of pictures for this process because I was really, really moving fast trying to get it all taped up, and we didn't stop to take a ton of pictures. But we spread the plastic out, just gave it a nice wide berth around the window, and we taped it down really well with the Gorilla Tape. We did the same thing inside. We taped it from both the outside and inside. and we left that glass in place. What we realized pretty quickly that we needed that we did not have was plexiglass or Lexan. We realized, okay, it's secure at the moment, nothing's getting out, but that didn't feel really secure. There were still huge pieces of broken glass inside that we didn't know if they were going to shift and punch a hole through that plastic, or if the inner pane that was still holding but looked like it was about to fail would ever fail. And so we had to scramble to get some plexiglass. Thankfully, though, we have an excellent facilities guy who can build and make anything, and he tracked down a sheet of plexiglass, had it cut to size by the next morning, and we taped it up with that same Gorilla Tape. We ended up leaving the glass pane underneath of it because we didn't want to risk breaking the internal glass pane that was still sort of holding its shape, and we didn't want to kill ourselves on these giant jagged pieces of glass. So the pane broke on June 22nd. We mobilized all the local glass companies in days. It was a big repair, so we had to get quotes and things like that. We had estimates within days. We had agreed to a price the same week. It took over 2 months to get it replaced before it was, back to normal. So keep that in mind when you are making your own plans, as this is not a fast process. And we were told that that 2 month window, we were on the fast end of things. It could have taken a lot longer. So we left that Gorilla Taped up piece of Lexan the entire time. We were in, the middle of summer in St. Louis, where it gets pretty darn hot. That tape is black. And so I was a little nervous that it was going to get hot and fall off. So I would check it every day when I got to work, every day before I went home. I bet had we left it up, that Gorilla Tape would still be holding today. It was really, really strong. It was a great, great hold. And it was probably the most secure window at that point in the entire building, because it probably could have stopped a bullet or another lawnmower. This is when we decided to take it off. That's our maintenance guy, Glenn, and he was pulling with all his might to get that tape to come off. He about fell over once it finally gave. So it was holding really well. We left the inner plastic in place once we pulled the glass out. Again, I didn't take a lot of pictures for this part because I was mostly standing there with butterfly nets just in case something crazy happened. But that inner black plastic held, and there at no point through the entire process was there any breach to the outside. The one thing that we weren't quite ready for, we had left our fans running inside the building, and the second that outer glass came off, it just went whoop and pushed out because of the pressure, which was enough to absolutely scare me for about 10 seconds as we were expecting it to just keep popping out. But it held. In the future, I'd probably recommend turning that fan off. While we were undergoing that process from the outside, from the inside, we brought in a few extra layers of plastic just so that we could sort of drape around the area as an extra barrier to keep butterflies away. You can see a little bit from the inside of how we had secured the inner black plastic lining. We had taped it around all four sides. The bottom was close enough to the ground that it didn't hold really well, as tight as I would like. So we also added bricks, and that actually created a really tight seal between the tape and the bricks. So what would we do differently? What would we change since then? We realized that we went through a lot more black plastic than we had anticipated, and that was for one window. That was sort of best case. We live in Tornado Alley. If a tree somehow gets blown from who knows where or something, or a cow or something, and whacks into our building, it's probably going to break multiple windows, so we need to have more plastic. So we're going to be ready for that with additional pieces of plastic. We now know that we need that Lexan, that plexiglass on hand, so we have that at the ready. We won't have to go out and find a Home Depot that has it in stock. And we realized that mowing near the glass is an unnecessary risk, so we eliminated that as well. And like I mentioned earlier, we definitely would recommend turning off the fans so that there's no positive pressure that's trying to force air and or butterflies out any hole that forms. So this is the area where they were mowing. I don't have a lot of great pictures of it. I didn't think to take many pictures before things changed, but this was from a video that I filmed during the process that I sent to Kirk and Ben saying, this is what happened, this is what we're doing. You can see some of the big pieces of broken glass that have fallen out there. But pay attention to this, this grass area, because today we said no more grass, let's just plant wildflowers. So it's part of our milkweed bed. So there's no need to be mowing, and milkweed is a lot better than grass. So I'm actually doing this talk today because through this entire process, I was in close communications with Kirk and Ben, trying to update them every step of the way. And Kirk, in the end, said that he appreciated what we had done, thought we did a good job, and asked us to present here if we had the opportunity. So I reached out to Kirk. I said, do you have any thoughts you'd like to add to the end? And this is what he said. He recommends having a map of all of the windows where we have them currently labeled like south wall middle, east wall side. He said just find every possible size window and give it a letter. And then have your plastic sheeting cut to that letter size. So if a A breaks, you just grab an A plastic, which makes really sense. Have that pre-cut plexi in place. I've talked to a couple people here who have butterfly houses. A lot of you have that similar grab-and-go kit. I asked a couple folks, do you have plexi? Nobody had it. So I guess I don't feel bad, but it is needed. You're going to need it. It's kind of expensive. That was like a $600 sheet of plastic. So, get it in your budget and you have it on hand. You don't want to go looking for it if you badly need it. Kirk had the suggestion that if you can, to make it as cold as possible in your facility. If the butterflies are a little chillier, they're going to be less likely to move around, which is great advice. We don't have mechanical cooling, so that wasn't an option for us. See here. Yeah, if necessary, you can always collect those adults and send them to other facilities. I know we get adults from seasonal exhibits when they close, and so myself or other institutions will be happy to take your adult butterflies if it's a serious containment breach. And as a last resort, make sure you do have pesticides on hand that are short residual time and labeled for use in your state. You can pop those off. We have pesticide grenades that we always have at the ready in case a tornado does knock out a window 20 feet in the air and we can't get to it. But if you use one with a short residual time, you can get those repairs made, clear out your area, and hopefully get butterflies in not too long. So that's all I have. Thankfully, we got our window back. We had no escapes, no significant breach of containment, and we learned a lot. So hopefully you did too. So thank you very much.
All right, we have 4 minutes.
And I've already told Kirk that he can interrupt if he has things to add to the question and answer session.
Tad, does it need to be clear, or can it be a thin other material other than Lexan and Plexi, just to cut down costs and ease of cutting?
I don't see why it would have to be any other color. We had ours against black plastic on the inside, and so it was effectively a black piece of plastic at that point. You couldn't see through it at all. I suspect that was just what was in stock at Home Depot, and that's what he came back with.
Yeah, we recently had somebody put their elbow through one of our glass enclosures, and we had a similar issue.
Kirk, nod your head. Does color matter? Clear or black? He says no. Whatever you want.
Hello? Okay.
Hello.
You said something about butterflies being chilly and it affects it. Can you give like an example degrees on how them butterflies can be affected on the cold or in the winter to be exact?
Absolutely. So as you know, insects are cold-blooded, including butterflies. And so basically, for native butterflies, you don't expect them to be flying once the temperature reaches below 60 degrees or so. I would expect below 70, maybe 67, 68, a lot of tropical butterflies are going to slow down and not be as active. I think every little bit you can make it cooler is just that less chance the butterflies will escape.
So what happened to, does it affect their wings? Does it affect their antennas? Like what does it affect on their body?
They're just slower and more lethargic. They sort of, if they get too cold, they basically go to sleep. They go into torpor, but they basically won't move if it's too cold.
I can't see Kirk, so you can translate which way he nods his head. But does it have to be plexiglass? Can it just be like plywood?
Plywood, okay? He's nodding.
Nodding yes.
Nodding yes. Key West used to have spare whole pieces of glass in the attic. That works too.
The plexi was probably more secure than plywood. I mean, that thing was very, very strong and easy to work with, easy to cut.
Yeah. Oh. So first of all, I want to thank you for doing a PowerPoint presentation on my worst nightmare. Second of all, my next question is, it looks like your accident was fairly low to the ground. Have you put any thought into what you would do if it happened up high?
So if it happened up high, depending on where it is, if it's very high, we might be reaching immediately for those pesticide bombs. We did actually this past January replace about half a dozen windows in our facility, and most of them were actually very high. And we thankfully had a lift that we were able to basically recreate what we did here with the plastic. We did that up high, and it was actually very easy to do.
Good to
But
know.
if you can't reach it with a ladder or you don't have a lift handy, I think that's when you have to be prepared with those pesticide grenades.
Sounds good. I'll likely be reaching out to you later about that.
Absolutely. Kirk, do you have a follow-up to that?
Yeah, I just want to talk about the plastic sheeting. You want to use thick stuff that you can find. Like vapor barrier for under a house is real cheap. But I wanted to talk about the temperature thing. And it was really just an observation I made that, we have a butterfly place up north. And if the butterflies have access to the glass in the winter, they basically land on the glass and they'll stay there. They die. They can't move. So lowering it just a little bit will make a big difference. So use what makes sense for you.
Any other questions?
All right, cool.
Thank you very much. If you have any other questions, find me or Kirk later.